Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hardscape Growth Show. I'm your host, Alex, and today we are joined by Marc Levesque of Webrunner Media. We are super excited to have him on because his company is specialized in digital marketing, more specifically lead generation for contracting companies. Marc, thank you so much for joining us on the show. How are you doing?
Hey, Alex, pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
I gave a quick little intro of like what your company is about, but why'd you start Webrunner? What made you excited to get into that side of things?
How much time do you have, Alex?
Let's keep this part brief.
Let's keep this part brief. Yeah. So I'll give you kind of the Cliff Notes version of it.
Yeah.
Webrunner is, like you said, a digital marketing company. We happen to specialize exclusively in lead generation for home improvement companies. We happen to work with quite a few softscape, hardscape contractors. But yeah, like I said, our company exists to help contractors scale more predictably. The bulk of what we do happens to be generating leads through platforms like Google and Facebook. So that's what we do. Why we got into it. Company is about 9 or so years old, and since day one, we've had a couple contractors as customers, and over time, we just sort of carved out that niche a little bit more. And at one point, we saw that hey, that's where we're seeing the most success. We enjoyed working with these type of clients most, and that's where we are today.
You say you enjoyed working with these types of clients the most. Why is that?
Wow, lag.
Are you getting a lot of lag?
Oh yeah, like completely froze up. You're back.
I'm back. Okay. I'm gonna hit the question again. Just make 156. Okay. Um,
You're personally a little bit all like pixelated there. I don't know if that's
yeah,
just on my side
that
or you.
won't yeah, that won't matter. You're coming in a little pixelated for me too. That's not a
Okay.
big deal. The more important thing is if the sound is good, that we don't have too much of a lag, then we can carry on. This is what I was saying. Sometimes there's lag spikes and there's a little delay, but we should be able to get
Cool.
through it. I'm gonna pick up at 222, 324. You said you really like working with that type of client the most. Why is that exactly?
Yeah, good question. I mean, relative to all the other industries that we have experience working with, contractors in general, there's no monkey business. It's are you helping me grow my business or not? And then that's what we like.
Yeah, not as
Yeah,
marketing fluff and brand and feel and yeah, not that. Like I'm paying you money. I need leads. Where are the leads? These leads are good. You're doing a good job. It's
yeah,
pretty
yeah. You get that
straightforward.
right.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you said you've been doing this for 9 years. What's a commonly held belief about marketing that you passionately disagree with?
Yeah, good question, Alex. A commonly held belief. I mean, I think from a mindset standpoint, one of the things that we see a lot are folks who either believe that marketing has to be completely done in house, and or the opposite. You've got to completely outsource it. And from our experience, having been in the trenches for so long, we've seen that the best results come from when you're able to outsource things that you don't necessarily have. And I know this is not going to sound, like a novel idea or anything,
Uh
but
huh.
outsource the things that you don't necessarily have the expertise for, where there's kind of a steep learning curve and where you can waste a lot of money fast, and then keep control over the things that no one can do better than you. And what I mean by that is building a brand, understanding your company's DNA, your market, your team culture, your clients. Very hard to outsource that to a
Hmm.
company. So the thought of just being able to kind of outsource everything, rarely do we see business seeing success with that. It's kind of like twofold. You've got to own certain parts of the marketing mix, and there's certain things that it's okay to kind of let the reins go a little bit and bring in the pros.
You know, this has come up quite a few times on the show already, and it's funny because you're basically a subcontractor. Like it's
Yep.
whatever my business is not best at, whatever I'm not particularly skilled at, but also has to get done in the interest of growing the company or fulfilling the needs for my client. I hire that as a subcontractor. And that's basically the service that you offer. You're a subcontractor for lead generation if that's something that you're not particularly good at in your own business.
Exactly. Yeah. Well put, Alex.
Thank you. That's what we try to do here
Mhm.
on the Hardscape Growth Show.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, with regards to like lead gen, there's a lot of ways to do it. A lot of people are using social media. A lot of people are using Google, paying for ads. A lot of people have all kinds of calls to action on their web pages and all that kind of stuff. Um, what's something that really doesn't work that people need to stop doing with regards to marketing their business?
Yeah. Good one. So with respect to what people should stop doing, I think there's a lot of things
Okay.
that people
All
could
right.
stop
Well,
doing.
we got time,
I
man.
think,
Let's go.
yeah, we got time. Good. Where do we start? No, I think the biggest, Alex, is just kind of guesswork marketing, and I think this is just natural and not even specific to contractors. I mean, anyone in business, if you're new and green and kind of naive, you're gonna kind of have to go through, um, try to overcome those hurdles and get through it. But the sooner you can learn the lesson, the better off you'll be. Guesswork marketing. What I mean by that is the notion of just kind of shooting from the hip, right? It's like, okay, we want to grow our business. We need to market. Okay, I get that we need to market. We need to get sales. Let's put X amount of dollars towards marketing and cross our fingers.
Mm,
Too many people go at it. Like I said, shooting from the hip, and there's no kind of sound plan, right? You need the strategy and you need the tactics. And so, what we aim to do when we're talking with a potential new customer, it's we've got to understand the business. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? What is that gap? What does that revenue gap look like? Then tie that to what are you typically selling. So ideally, the client's got to focus. Hey, I'm specialized in this.
mhm.
And if they can articulate these are the kind of jobs I want more of, these are the kind of jobs I don't want more of, well, already you're in a better direction.
Okay.
um, and then from there, once you've got a handle on the number of jobs you need to kind of make that revenue figure happen, based on your ability to close deals, well, how many leads do you figure you're going to need for that? So when you break things down to that level,
Mhm.
it becomes a lot easier to put a dollar value to your marketing, right?
Because you know what you're
Because you
expecting
know
to get out of it. So, like
exactly,
like
yeah,
like, can we make up an example and you kinda walk me through it, and I'll pretend to be a contractor running my business?
yeah, absolutely.
So I
So
yeah, so, I wanna grow my business. Right now, I do 20 projects a year. My projects, I don't really have the ability to do more projects, but I wanna get more profitable projects, and I feel that more profitable projects probably come from clients with a bit more budget, a bit more means, so that I can sell them on some other things I'd like to build for them, like fire pits or outdoor kitchens or fancy designs in the pavement or lighting, all these things that I could add in. But right now I seem to be caught in a rut where I'm just getting a lot of the same 20 by 20, 20 by 30 patio that, I can do a couple little designs in the pavers, but I want to do more. I know I can do more. And I see all these guys on Instagram. They seem to be kicking ass, making money. I want to do the same thing. What do I need to
okay,
do?
cool. Yeah. Well, there's a couple things. So right away, one of the things that kind of caught my attention is when you said, I don't have capacity to really take on more work.
Right.
That leads me to believe that from a financial standpoint, in terms of your cash flow, you can't necessarily go and hire to go and take on many more jobs. So one, that's likely a problem, right?
Okay.
Um, Maybe the type of jobs that you're doing don't align with the ones you'd like to be doing because you're at the mercy of having to say yes to whatever comes your way
Yeah.
because you don't have a steady flow of inbound leads where you've got the opportunity to be really selective with what you want to take on. And again, we see this oftentimes with businesses that are just starting up.
Mhm.
Cash is king. I'll say yes to anything if someone's willing to pay a bill.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I
got
mean?
guys to
And
pay, I got bills to pay, I got the skid steer I just bought, that's a monthly
yeah,
payment, I gotta pay.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. You got payroll, you keep the lights on, you got
Mhm.
your equipment. So I think the idea is to be really intentional. As hard as it may seem early on, be intentional with what you want to go and get. Focus your marketing towards that, and then, like I said, put the numbers down on paper so that you know them clear as day. So, you said, okay, more volume isn't necessarily the focus. I'd like to get jobs that are more in line with what I want. I want higher ticket jobs. I want more elaborate projects, right? Not just kind of the standard, square,
Mhm.
rectangle, patio, whatever, right?
That's right.
Um,
I want more per
so
customer, not more
yeah,
customers,
more.
more per customer.
Right. So what we'd aim to do, Alex, is sort of look at, okay, well, what are you doing revenue wise? You might say, 20 projects, my projects average 50K. I'm doing $1 million a year.
Sure.
Who knows, right?
Okay.
And you might say, okay, well, I want to do 2 million a year. Okay, is it realistic for you to take your project from 50 to 100K? You might say,
Probably not.
no, I could probably go squeeze another, 10, 20 out of my average job.
Mhm.
Okay, well, great. Well, then you'll increase your average ticket price and your yearly revenue by whatever it is,
Mhm.
15,
20,
20%,
yeah, 20
So
times
it's
10,000, so $200,000. So I'm doing 1,000,000
exactly.
now. We're gonna set a goal of 1.2 million with the same number of
Yeah.
contracts.
So honestly, that's more of an internal thing. It's a little bit easier to kind of fix that because it's really a mindset thing.
Right.
It's say no to the jobs that aren't in line with what you want, go after those higher ticket jobs.
But
And so, you got to make sure that you're
to say no to jobs, I need to be able to say yes to the right ones, right?
to the right ones. Yeah. Yeah. So, you've got to look at your lead flow, right? To close those 20 jobs, how many leads did you have last year? Maybe you didn't have all that many leads, so you kind of said yes to whatever came your way. Um,
What if I
maybe
don't
you've
even
got a
know?
great person on staff.
Like that happens,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm just going. It's just happening. Like I don't know how many phone calls I get. Like
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? Because I mean, I talk to contractors all the time, and the guys who are growing and learning to really build their business, that's one of the things. Like they're not tracking these things, so they don't have necessarily the answers to these specific questions. So, like,
Yeah.
how would you like what
So, I
advice
mean,
would you give in that situation?
yeah, the issue with that, and again, not foreign to us, we see it all the time. You've got to centralize information,
Okay,
and in the beginning, right? Again, maybe it's because you're new to business, or maybe you're just it hasn't been a focus of yours. You're okay with status
yeah,
quo,
we've been
and you
okay,
don't
but
want
now I
change.
want more.
All right. So if you want more and you don't want more of the same, you acknowledge that something has to change. Oftentimes it starts from within. I don't want to get all philosophical here,
Yeah,
but
you gotta know what you
it's a mindset thing, right?
want.
You got to know what you want. Yeah, it's like, the alcoholic who doesn't think he's got a drinking problem. It's harder to help him than someone who comes and says, "Hey, I've got a drinking problem. I need help."
Yeah,
Yeah, sure, come, I'll help you.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
a pretty intense
As you're taking
example,
a
but
drink.
yeah. So yeah, so I have to define what is it that I want to get, and then you said something key though, but you have to centralize that information. Like what's that actually look like? What do I need to do?
Yeah, I mean, look, you need to be able to look at your numbers past and then, forecast for the future. So if you did 20 jobs last year,
Mhm.
what'd you spend on marketing? What did it result in terms of leads? What was your closing rate? What was your average ticket?
Okay,
What did it cost you to acquire a customer? When you've got all those metrics, well, those are your benchmarks. You're basing yourself off of that.
then
And
it's just
obviously you're
math
trying to
if you have all
improve.
those. Yeah,
Uh, I'm sorry?
it's just math from there. If you have those numbers, then I want more of this. I want less of this. And if you can paint that picture, then it's a little bit easier to have this kind of conversation now, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the idea is to scale a business in a controlled fashion, in a way that you feel like you're in the driver's seat and not, in the back seat, no idea where the heck you're going,
Mhm.
So if you start investing tons of money into marketing, um, over time, you've got all these different sources bringing you leads, opportunities, and you don't know where they're coming from, what it's costing you, you're closing deals. I mean, forget predicting the future. It becomes next to impossible.
Hmm.
So what you want is to be able to say, okay, we spend this much on marketing. This is the amount of leads that we generated, from all the different sources. This is what the dollar value was per lead source.
Okay.
Here's how we succeeded in translating all of those different lead sources into sales.
Mhm.
Here's where we got the best return. Google, Facebook, referrals, word of mouth, yard signs, truck wraps, flyers, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You've got to know that with clarity because it's going to help you next year reallocate the dollars. You pull from
Hmm.
what's not working, you put towards what is working, you're doubling down. And
What's
then,
a
of
good way
course,
to track that? Like just add it as a field on my customer intake form, ask them when I'm talking to them. Is there like a recommended way or any way is good?
Yeah. So if you're doing more traditional forms of advertising, it becomes a little bit harder to track.
Hmm.
So sometimes you can do, any type of campaign, you want to have some form of measurability. So if you're sending out any kind of mailers, try to get a unique phone number on those mailers, right? If you don't want people calling you, you're trying to get them to go to a website, try to get a unique URL for that mailer, so that at least you know that whatever the end source is, whatever call to action you're trying to get people to take, that will determine where, which campaign drove that. Phone calls, there's simple call tracking technologies that you can use. We use CallRail. All of our customers are on that. And what you do is anytime you run a campaign, be it traditional or digital, you pull a new phone number, you put that on your flyer, you can put it on your yard sign, you can put it on your truck. They all route to your office number, but there's different numbers everywhere. So at the end of the month, the quarter, the year, you're able to see which campaigns are driving the greatest number of inbound calls, leads online, that sort of thing. And we can talk for hours about that, but in a nutshell, that's kind of how it works.
Okay. So I need to be able to, at a minimum, be able to track where my leads are coming from. I need to be able to track how many leads I'm getting. I need to be able to track how many of those leads turn into sales calls. And then from there, how many of those sales calls turn into sold projects. And if I can
Yep,
do that,
exactly.
then I can determine, in order to get more of the better jobs, I need to get more leads. If we go
Yeah.
back to the scenario that we were creating here, where I do 20 jobs, I do $1 million a year, so 50,000 per project on average. I'd like to take that project value to 60 or 70,000 to take my revenue from 1 to 1.2 million, because I feel that if I can get 1.2 million out of 20 clients, I'm probably going to be making more profit based on my math that I did to get to that number. How can I determine, like, let's say I do know that I get, I don't know, I get 1,500 leads a year, but the qualified leads, I really only get like 100. And of those qualified leads, I get maybe, I don't know, 60 sales calls. And of the 60 sales calls, one third turn into sales, or 20 out of the 60. How do I know how many more leads I have to get the right type of job? Or is it really
So
the type of lead that I need to focus on?
yeah, it's in this situation, because you're not necessarily looking for a whole lot more volume of new sales.
Mhm.
It's more just a positioning thing, right? So you're
So what
trying to get a
pictures am I
different type
using?
of
What
customer.
messages am I using? Who am I targeting? That kind of thing?
That that's right, exactly. Yeah. So your messaging in your ads, your creatives, your web pages that you're using, you're saying yes to customers that aren't necessarily the right fit, right? If you're going after the $75,000 jobs, yet you're stuck to 50, and again, we're using just round
Yeah,
numbers here.
we're
Just
making up the scenario
you're
here, but we're trying to
yeah, you're just not attracting. You're not attracting the right type of customer. When somebody comes to us and says, "Hey, we're at a million and we want to get to three. We've got a $2 million gap. Our average ticket price is 50,000. That's 40 jobs, right? So you need to do an additional 40 jobs. You did 20 last year. You need another 40, right? Okay. Well, what was your closing last year? We closed at 20%. So for those 20 jobs that we did, we got 100. We had generated 100 leads. Well, guess what? You want 40 jobs? You're going to need 300 leads, right? In order to make the 60, if you're still at 20%. Make sense? Is my math good there?
I I think you multiply by 3 instead of by 2, but if I have 20 jobs, I want 40, and I have 100 leads gives me 20 jobs, then I need 200 leads to get 40 jobs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I was looking at the total.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this year you want to do 3 million. You still need to
Okay, okay.
get your
Yeah,
initial 20 jobs.
okay,
So yeah.
okay, okay, okay. So you're
But yeah, the net new, you're going to need 200 additional leads, right? Assuming that you stay at 20% close. So,
right.
and then what happens is now that you've got 200 leads that you need to go and get additionally,
Mhm.
right? And that's just, again, for somebody who scenario is different, somebody who wants more volume.
Yeah.
Well, now you know what you're going to need to put into marketing. So last year you can say, hey, you know what? I put 10%, I put 100,000 into marketing, or I put 5%, I put 50,000.
1,000 in marketing.
Well, if that percentage stays the same
Yeah.
and I would need the same, it's all relative. It's just going to scale.
Okay.
Again, something people do is they say, oh, I did a million last year. I spend 50K, let's put it to 75. Just like that, just, pull the number out of thin air. But my goal is to do 3 million, right? But if nothing changes and all the numbers stay true, that 75 is not going to be conducive to, 300 leads. It's going to help me generate whatever, 100 and some odd leads, right?
So basically,
So
I need to look at how much did I spend? How many leads did I get? Do that amount. So the 50,000 we made up divided by the 100 leads. So that is costing me, what's that? $500 a lead?
yeah, if
50,000
we talked about 100 leads, 50K, yeah.
Yeah. It's cost me $500 a lead. So
So not a
that's,
so not good numbers to
I'm not
begin with.
doing well with my marketing.
Those are expensive leads.
Yeah, that's not a good number. What what are good numbers based on your experience? 9 years in business, thousands of
Yeah.
customers.
So
What
yes.
should I expect in terms of cost per acquisition with the right plan?
Yeah, that's a good question because a lot of people who have never really invested in digital don't know what to expect.
Mhm.
And so knowing which variables come into play is important. Where you're located is a big factor. How competitive your market is another factor. And then how you're going about generating the lead is also another factor, right? Something else is what are you selling, right? So if you're selling more of the maintenance type of service, so let's say you open up irrigation systems or pools, or you do mowing, aerating, power raking, dethatching, all that kind of stuff. Lower ticket.
Yeah,
You're
a
talking
lower
big
price,
hardscape
and the
projects.
customer pool is way bigger. Everyone's got a lawn. If you have a house, you have a lawn.
Exactly. Bigger pool, more people who could use the service, but it's lower ticket. So you have to, you can't afford to spend as much to acquire a customer uh, or a lead, let alone a customer. So your marketing has to make sense. So in terms of lead costs, we see everything from, and believe me, I mean, we've seen like $9, $12 leads off of platforms like Facebook when things are really, dialed in. And then we've got clients where they're spending hundreds of dollars per lead and they're happy doing so. They can justify it because there's a return.
Mhm.
So again, the mindset is not how cheap can I get my leads to be, because lead cost is completely irrelevant. So if there's something for people to take away from this here, don't just be hung up on lead cost, which a lot of people are. It's not, hey, I got leads from here and this is what they were costing me. How much are your leads? You got to look beyond that.
What's
You've got to look at what does it cost you to get the customer? Because yeah, exactly.
the
You got to compare apples and apples. If you're comparing a, $5 lead with $100 lead, how many of those $5 leads do you need before you make a sale? If the answer is 100,
yeah.
well, I'll take the $100 lead all day long if I'm closing one out of two.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
And the value of that lead turning into a customer. So like,
Exactly. Yeah.
so just to like simplify it, that and summarize what you just said, it's not just a function of looking at, well, okay, if I can do this really, really well and get $5 a lead, and I only need 100 leads to make my business hit the targets that I want, that means I only need to spend $500 to do it. That's not necessarily the way that it works, because you need the right quality of lead, you need the right number of leads, and you need to have that combination of the two to make it make sense. Like
Yeah.
I need enough of them that turn into actual sales. And I need to look at what the value of that sale is. If a $5 lead gives me a $10,000 project, but I want a $50,000 project, well, then it's not the right lead. So I need to
Hmm.
reevaluate what I'm doing.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
How can we make
So
this like a little bit easier to digest? Because I know like we've gotten into a bunch of different numbers. I'm sure that anybody listening right now, if numbers are not their friend, their head is spinning right now. So
yeah, we've been kind of jumping around, which is fine. But I think, look, in the grand scheme of things, you've got to look at where you want to go. Don't necessarily, yes, look at where you're coming from to get kind of a benchmark in terms of your numbers, but look at what you want to do revenue wise. Break that down, uh, you know, to determine how many jobs that represents, and then look at your historical closing rate. That's going to tell you how many leads you need. Now, make sure that your the marketing dollars that you come up with are going to allow you to generate that number of leads. Now, if you're starting from scratch and you've never done this, it's difficult.
mhm,
But whoever you decide to work with, on the marketing front should be able to give you some kind of a range relative to your market, what you're selling. It should be able to give you an idea of what your average lead cost should be, right? So it's not guesswork. And the idea is put a marketing budget that is in line with where you want to be. So expected revenue, not last year's revenue,
Yeah,
right?
that's a key
So
takeaway
that's
right there. Too often, people are tempted to look at, well, this is the money I actually have, right? We made $1 million. I'm going to invest 10% of it, but that is, provided everything even goes as planned. That's kind of only a recipe to repeat what you did, not necessarily grow on what you did.
exactly.
What, you know, with regards to all of this, and especially to lead generation, because there are quite a few different aspects that go into it. What's something that, like, maybe you guys have figured out a really effective or really efficient way to do with regards to lead generation for a contracting business?
Yeah, I mean, um, because we only do one thing, Alex. I'll tell you that's what we've figured out how to do
Okay.
better than most. The idea of running campaigns on Google and Facebook. We use a lot of landing pages when we're running campaigns for customers. So we've got this system that works really well. And because our team is so focused on this one thing, there's a lot of momentum that kind of gets built, a lot of learning that happens. Economies of scale sort of tie into the whole equation.
Okay.
And, for us, it's our wheelhouse. It's what we do. So we see a lot of people attempt to try to do this themselves in house, um, along with all of the other things that fall under the marketing umbrella, the branding, the content, the social, the blog. I mean, the list is enormous, right? And this is kind of comes back to what we initially, opened up with, the notion of in-house versus outsource,
Yeah.
where, our belief is that, certain things should, and need to be done in-house, other things should be outsourced. So that's really, what I think that we've really learned to do well.
So you really
And
focused on getting the leads on either Google or on Facebook, driving that interaction. The call to action is making them click, and when they click, they're going to a landing page. So that's a specific page. That's not just the homepage on the website. There's a specific page uh, that's designed, I guess, to build on what attracted them in the first place with the ad. Can you break down a little bit, like, what
e-
makes a good landing page? Because a lot of guys are
exactly.
they're worried about just getting people to the website, but that's not good enough anymore.
No, that's the thing. It's not good enough anymore. And I can understand where that frustration comes from. Is people invest in branding, they invest in new websites,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden they want to run marketing campaigns, and they're like, well, I've got a website. I don't need landing pages.
no, that's it.
Let me throw up some ads. Let me bring people to my website. But there's so much more to it. It's like saying, I want to build an incredible business. I want to compete in the F1,
Hmm.
but I'm going to get my mechanic down the street to take care of my car because he's great at oil changes and
And my muffler has
replace some
never
brakes and tires.
been quieter. No,
Like, no, the F1 team, they're engineers, they're specialized. That's all they do. They're looking at everything to the millisecond. So everything is
comparing
optimized. So
are you
that's what
comparing
our
your
team.
company to an F1 team, or are you saying like a landing page is that level of specialization?
I'm comparing all of the components to what we do. Yes, our team essentially is like that F1 team, right? If you want to play in the big leagues,
Yeah.
you bring a team that is specialized in every facet of what needs to go into seeing results with this.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not trying to hard sell or anything here, but it's, if you want to do Google, yes, you can go on Upwork and Freelancer and all these sites and hire somebody and pay a couple $100 and you'll get a campaign going. The sheer number of accounts that we audit, websites, Google campaigns, Facebook campaigns, where things are just so terribly wrong, the amount of money that people burn, there is a reason why there's such a negative connotation around marketing and agencies and consultants. I mean, people just hate them. People get burnt all the time. So you got to be very careful of that.
Okay,
And
I really wanna come
yeah,
back to
so
the all the bad things that you're seeing, but I just wanna return really quickly the to close on the topic of the landing page. On the landing page, basically, what needs to be on there to be effective? high level. Like we're not going to break down like a full thing,
Yeah.
but just high level. Why, what do I need to do?
So the concept here, Alex, is fairly straightforward. Where a website may aim to act kind of like a brochure,
Hmm.
where people can kind of flip through and learn every little thing there is to know about a company, its people, its culture, and all that good stuff. All the different services you offer, the huge gallery. I mean, it's great. But if you want to increase your ability or the likelihood of you turning some of that paid traffic, some of those ads that you're paying for into leads, you want to tighten up that message, right? It's like if an example I can give you is if you work at a retail store,
Hmm.
a men's high end clothing boutique, and I walk in there one day and I'm looking for, I don't know, a pair of fancy designer jeans. I say, hey, Alex, you have jeans here. And you say, well, sure, let me show you around. You start showing me blazers and shirts and shoes and all these other things. Like, I'm not interested. I'm gone already.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for that one thing. This is what I look for.
You managed to grab my
So
attention online. The ad was like, yeah, I'm interested in this. I click, you got to give me that right now.
that's right.
Grab my
That's right.
attention
And
for a few more seconds and then I'm done with you. If you didn't give me what I wanted within seconds, I'm out. That's basically
that's right.
why a landing page is so important, if I understand
That's
correctly.
exactly it. Yep. So anything that doesn't align with the intent of the user, if I came in through a Google search and I look for something specific,
Yeah.
I'm looking for a company that can open up my irrigation system.
Yeah.
You better take me to a page that shows me that. So when I get to that landing page, guess what I see? An image of an irrigation
Yeah.
system, a
You need
message
that
that speaks to me,
continuity.
an offer.
Yeah, so if I
I need
if I'm running ads for fire pits because I wanna do more fire pits, I know that when I create the fire pit, it creates a great living area. Customers are willing to pay for that because they know the value that they get as a family from that investment. That landing page better be showing all sorts of other fire pit environments, zones that I've created, and my call to action better be something related to hardscaping, building a landscape that includes a fire pit. To learn more, fill out this form or submit your email or something like that. Is that right?
Exactly. And now a lot of people listening to this might be saying, well, hey, that's an easy fix. I've got a fire pit page right on my website. I'll just send people there.
Huh?
Well, guess what? Go and analyze that page. And I bet you there are things that are missing on that page.
Like what?
When you get to your home page, you'll see the phone number. You'll see a nice big bold message. You'll see some customer testimonials, maybe a form. So you'll see all these things.
Yeah.
You go to your fire pit page, all of a sudden, social proof disappeared. There's no more testimonials.
Okay.
Where's the form that I fill out? Where's the offer?
Mm,
Where's the gallery with the fire pits? Where's the before and after?
gotcha.
So things get kind of lost in these different compartments throughout a website because there's dedicated sections for it.
Right.
Whereas a landing page will aim to bring together everything that's relevant to that particular thing that the user is looking for,
Okay.
right? So there is kind of a methodology. There's a best practice framework that we follow. Call to actions. It's not just one button. There could be buttons several places throughout the page, and there's a lot of testing that happens.
Book your consultation. Uh,
That's right. Yep.
things like that. So
Yep.
now shifting gears back to the audits. You said you guys do a lot of audits for a lot of companies that are running their marketing and now they're coming to Webrunner and they're saying like, hey, we want to do more, we want to do better. So you guys do an audit, which basically means like, what are you doing? Let me go through it all. Let me tell you what's working, what's not for your business. And you said you uncover a lot of really terrible things. What are some bad things that you're seeing that maybe like these are common pitfalls that are easily preventable because you just see them so commonly, but they don't work. We need to stop doing that.
Yeah. I mean, the number one thing, Alex, is when ideally we audit an account, and an audit just means we're like looking under the hood, right?
Yep.
If you went to buy a high end, classic car, before you buy it, you want to have it inspected, right?
Mhm.
So you go somewhere, you put it up on a lift, and you'll get it checked out before you make the investment.
That's right.
Um, right? So we're like that unbiased third party that comes in and gives you that inspections and said, "Hey, Alex, you know what? Yeah, car's in great shape. It'd be a good buy." Or, "Hey, stay away from this. It's a total cancer." Right? So that's kind of what the purpose of the audit is. So we'll go in there and look at an account, and very often, it's just it needs a complete overhaul. So you can tell that whoever set it up, could have been Mickey Mouse who set it up. Like we don't know. The the structure is wrong, the choice of keywords, the use of negatives, the ad copy, the conversion tracking is not well set up. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's a million things that could be wrong with an account. Much like it could be quite the opposite. We can sometimes get into an account and right away we see, wow, this account is well set up.
Good.
All the use of the right keywords, ad copy is great. The way the ad groups are kind of, and I'm talking about Google now, and
Yeah.
if this may sound foreign to some people, and other people might understand exactly what I'm talking about, but
But help them understand. Like, so ad copy, let's, what are the words? What are the phrases? What's the text you use for your ads? Ad groups means what?
so ad groups are, themes of keywords,
Okay.
right? That would basically trigger a particular ad. So sometimes people will have ad groups where they've got too many keywords stuffed in there with different intents.
Okay.
So now all of a sudden a search
You're
engine,
just
when a
trying to get
keyword,
everything and
uh, you know, uh, when some that's right. When someone performs a search query, now the search engine's showing an ad that's maybe not relevant to that keyword.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So search engines are all about intent, right? The publishers, a company like Google makes money when people click on ads, right? So if as an advertiser, you're showing ads to people, right? Someone does a search for, the best landscape contractor near me, right? And Google starts to show your ad because you said, hey, that's a keyword that I want to show up for. So Google says, yeah, no problem. We'll show your ad. And you're going to pay us every time someone clicks the ad. Well, guess what happens? They start showing your ad.
Mhm.
Now, all of a sudden, no one's clicking your ad. They're clicking on somebody else's ad because it's more relevant. So maybe you didn't use the right keywords. Maybe your ad copy is not relevant enough to what that search query was, right? And so you're just not getting a lot of clicks. So what does Google say? Hey, this particular guy here doesn't seem to know what he's doing. He's wasting a lot of real estate. We're showing his ad. No one's clicking on it. We're not making
Okay.
as much money as we could be with another
Yeah.
advertiser who's doing a
I,
much better job.
I understand what you're saying. So basically, if I am using keywords that are not specific enough to what people are looking for, let's say best landscape contractor near me as your example, and I show up, but my ad, either the sentences that describe my ad or the images that are associated to my ad, are not representative of what the customers are looking for. People don't click on it. Therefore, Google can't charge me. Therefore, Google is going to suppress my ads and put someone else's that's more popular up. That's why
That's right.
it's important to be very intentional about, if I want to promote, I'll come back to my fire pit example just to make something consistent throughout this episode. If I want to promote that I build really awesome fire pits and outdoor entertainment areas, I need to make sure that all of my words, my keywords, fire pits, fireplaces, outdoor fire features, outdoor living spaces, those kinds of words are all creating a group that has the right ad copy, the right sentences, basically the right little short story that supports that ad, and beautiful images of that type of stuff. Then I stand a much better chance of getting clicked. And it's not just a function of, well, here's my money, Google, give me clicks. It doesn't work that easily. I really need to
Yeah,
do something
exactly.
that's effective.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that,
that's exactly it.
okay.
Yeah. Your fire pit example is great. If someone does a search for exterior fire pit,
Mhm.
right? And then they see an ad for, just, hey, we've been local landscaper serving your area for 25 years. It's not relevant to me. I'm looking for a company that can come and do a fire pit install,
That's right. That's right. So if it's
so
super
the
generic,
relevancy is off.
it doesn't work. And that's why you need all these different things. And that's why you need all these different landing pages as well, because each one of those ads or ad groups needs a dedicated landing page. So the person
Yep.
from a fire pit lands on a page that shows fire pits, not a page that says, we can clean out your pool, blow out your irrigation,
Exactly.
throw up your Christmas
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
decorations in the winter time. Like, it's really got
Yeah,
to be dedicated to that one thing.
exactly.
Um, so I know that you've obviously your business is built around selling your services, but you guys also do a lot about or a lot to help contractors, and that's one of the reasons why we have you on the Hardscape Growth Show today is because you guys have been really open with sharing the knowledge, sharing the information to help people at least get started and determine for themselves whether or not this is an aspect of their marketing for their business that they want to do themselves, or if it's something that they should be subbing out to a company like yours. Um, one of the things that you did, and we're super thankful of that, is for the hardscaper.com website, you've created a basically a digital marketing course specifically for contractors. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Alex. So, a lot of things that we're kind of trying to unpackage in this episode. This is a podcast, so the course is something that's a lot more visual. It can help somebody kind of better grasp the mindset sort of things that we've been kind of discussing today, along with some of the more tactical stuff that goes along with implementing some of this stuff. So it's I think we've got a dozen or so modules in there, and walk people through how they should approach marketing, digital specifically, in order to affect change in their business.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than an hour, from what I understand. And what I like about that length of time and the number of videos is basically that means that there are all these little short videos that will just introduce certain topics and give me just enough to sink my teeth into and to start to understand how I can do this for my business. And I can smash this out in like an hour and a half on a weekend and really make up my mind about what I need to do from a digital marketing standpoint to build lead generation for my business, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think there's far too many people out there in the marketing world who, um, I guess, from a financial standpoint, try to peddle advice, and we call it bloatware. They create just tons and tons and tons of content to the point where it's almost it's just a huge detractor. You lose interest. You don't want to go through it because you've overcomplicated things. There's just way too much fluff in there, and it's at the end of the day, it's not that complicated.
Hmm.
Um, you want to grow your business. You need revenue. How do you get revenue? You need sales. You need sales. You need leads. How do you get leads? You need marketing, right? And so you got to have the right mindset. You got to put the right pieces in place. And there's a time and place for everything. So it's just to understand that properly so that you can put that system in place that's going to help you to scale the business a lot more predictably and not be so reactive or at the mercy of whatever comes your way.
And I like the last point that you made there, to not be at the mercy of what comes your way. Like ultimately, I'm a big believer that if you started your own business, if you're an entrepreneur, you have the mindset of wanting to do things your way, of trying to create your own path, trying to create freedom for yourself. You have a vision of what that looks like. And too many times, um, I'll talk with contractors and they'll have a really negative feeling about marketing. And one of the things that I've learned is I'm in marketing at Techo Block. I've been doing that for 4.5 years now, and I did 12 years of sales. And I was like, well, sales is what brings the money in, but you need the marketing to get the right customers, so the sales job is easier, and every sale you make is that much more profitable and generating that much more revenue. So I view marketing today as one of the keys to the freedom for your business, because it gives you the freedom to be selective with the clients that you do business with. It gives you the freedom to charge the prices that you want, because if you can get more people wanting you than you can service, well, then you have the pick of the litter. You're in control. And I think that's, probably one of the main drivers why you got started in the first place, because you want to be in the driver's seat. And you use that analogy too. Like, you don't want to be in the back seat. You don't want to be driving like Mr. Bean on the armchair on top of the car with a couple ropes and sticks.
Yeah,
Like, you want to be in control.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think that's exactly what it's about. Yeah, marketing is you want to be in control. I had something I wanted to share, and I'm losing my train of thought, but um, we'll come back to it.
If I guess, like, so if there was something that I don't know, I felt like I knew what you were going to say, and I was
Yeah.
building for that. What were you going to say? It was something about,
Um,
because you said it great even on all of our calls. You've always said this line. What was it?
yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
It wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I just completely lost the.
Where are my notes? Let me go find my previous notes from our last call. Not our last call, but one of our.
There's like, yeah, there's a couple of things, Alex. So I have to just kind of repeat what you were going through, because I was going to build off of what you were saying, and then I just lost my train of thought.
If you remember, you can pick it back up.
um,
That thing down. I built off of you saying that you don't want to be at the mercy. You don't want to be running your business basically at the mercy of whatever it
yeah.
is you're.
Okay. I got it. Yeah.
And I was saying like that for me, like for any entrepreneur, that should be the biggest motivator to do marketing so that you are in
Yeah.
control.
Yeah. I got it.
You want to
Yeah.
pick up from there? Do you want me to?
Yeah. So let's take it.
Yeah.
So no, that's okay. I'll just pick it up. Yeah, I mean, Alex, that's a great point. I think that really is the idea. You want to be in control. Um, you talk about sales and marketing, going together. They absolutely do. Sales can work really, really, really hard to try to prospect and also create opportunities and close. But believe me, it's harder to make a sale if you have to go and kind of do a good chunk of the educating portion.
Mm,
If marketing starts that conversation early on, gets the attention of that potential customer, begins a narrative, starts informing them of who you are, what you stand for,
mm.
the caliber of work you do, and what it is that people love about you, half your sales job's already done. So when people come your way, there's a whole lot less selling that has to happen,
Yeah,
right?
you're just
And
facilitating a conversation
yeah,
at that point.
yeah, like you said, your average ticket price will go up, your closing rate will go up,
People are excited to do
your
business with you.
exactly, yeah.
It's
So
so key. Like I like that last aspect that you said because it's so true. Like all the contractors that we've had on the show that have talked about how important social media has been to their business. For example, um, one of the biggest things that seems to be a common thread is they have more work than they know what to do with, and the customers that are contacting them are excited at the opportunity of hiring them because they're so in love with everything that they've seen.
yeah,
And we've been talking more about lead generation on a I guess you could say on a more tactical side, and not so much the feelings that are emitted through things like social media. That's part of the mix as well. But at the end of the day, you need to have a strong message, and if you can communicate that strong message out to customers through things like social media and through things like paid advertising, like we've been talking about, then you have more people who want to hire you for the reasons why you're awesome, and you don't need to convince them when you're in front of them in a sales function. Now you're in front of them basically just confirming everything that they thought was true, which makes them
exactly.
that much more excited to say, well, whatever the price is, you're the guy I want because I've been in love with you for 2 months, looking at all these pictures and reading all these stories and looking at these testimonials and checking out your website. Like, you look awesome. When can you start? That's the conversation
Yeah,
you have.
yeah, exactly. It's not, hey, let me tell you who we are, what we do, how we do it, that sort of thing. What you want is the guy to say, hey, thanks for coming over. Let me walk you around and show you what I want to do, and then you can tell me when you can get started. Right? So a totally different narrative. And yes, on the organic side of social media, and we didn't really talk a whole lot about that. Not so much an area that we play in, but the industry as a whole is extremely visual,
Mhm.
and that therein lies probably the biggest opportunity I think today for people that are in the trades. Be it softscape, hardscape. I mean, it's visual, it's beautiful, it's art at the end of the day, right? And you can use something like this here, a little telephone, probably the most powerful tool
Yeah.
that any of us have, and you can do a lot of damage with something like that. And then you amplify that. A company like us comes along, and we want to start leveraging our paid expertise and our F1 team, like we talked about. Well, guess what we need? We need content,
Yeah.
we need visuals, we need video. So that's where, again, coming back to our initial point of some in-house and some outsource, that's where things kind of come together and become really, really strong. So
And no one can tell your story better than you. So that's why it's good that you handle that as a contractor. And
mhm.
like you said, like, this is my content machine. Make
Yep.
everything with this. And then if I don't know how to distribute that content to monetize it, to turn into leads and sales and revenue, well, then there's companies like Webrunner that can help me. And the best part is companies like Webrunner that will help me figure out the best decision to make before even having to hire you because of how much great stuff that you put out to help people determine that you're a great company to work with.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's we try to eat our own dog food, as they say. It's you know, we learn just as much from the customers that we work closely with. So it's kind of a way to give back. There's kind of this ripple effect. I think when you take yourself out of the equation, at the end of the day, we do one function. We help our customers generate leads, but those leads keep salespeople employed. Those salespeople who turn those leads into revenue, they now employ crews who are doing work.
Yep.
Business owners are growing their businesses. They're hiring more people, creating jobs. Homeowners are getting work done. It's making the economy go around. I mean, it's just massive when you look at it at that level.
Yeah.
But we do one small thing, and we like to think we do it pretty well.
Well, for anyone who wants to be able to check out that course that you guys put together, that's an awesome piece of content, or several pieces, 12 lessons, which is fantastic. All you have to do is log into hardscaper.com to be able to access that. If people have more specific questions and they want to be able to talk to you or talk to someone at your team, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Appreciate that. Anyone who's got an interest in learning a little bit more about what we do, head over to webrunnermedia.com. There's a demo button somewhere on the page, probably throughout the page multiple times, likely a landing page. But yeah, just book a demo with us. You'll get a calendar sort of invite. Pick the time that works best for you, and someone from our team will be speaking with you. Likely be myself as well. I'm pretty involved on the sales front, and otherwise, you can connect with me directly via LinkedIn. Send me an email message or whatnot. Connect. Happy to chat.
Yeah, in preparation for the show, I've had to call your office a few times, and I've been surprised how many times you personally answer the phone. So that's always nice
Absolutely,
to
man.
see that
I'm on the front lines, my friend.
you're right in there in the mix, and you see what the reality is for these guys.
For sure.
Thank you so much for being on the show with us. It's been a real pleasure, and look forward to having you on again. And I know that we have another conversation coming up pretty soon too, because you and I are going to be diving a little bit more into some of these things in one of our virtual events coming up, also on hardscaper.com in the month of February.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, for those watching, we throw a bunch of numbers around today, and doing some napkin math in our head with no visuals. This will be a lot easier to follow. I can promise you that.
Couple more numbers up there. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, Mark. It's been a pleasure. I hope that it's been as informative for our listeners as it was for me today. Uh, really, thanks a lot, and that's it. I guess we'll see you next time on the Hardscape Growth Show.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everyone.